Good evening, America. This is Jeff Desk. What if a former American president suddenly found himself stripped of authority over his most symbolic and influential asset? Not through any vote or political battle, but purely through legal and financial realities. The core issue here is stark. Authorities presented evidence that this same estate appeared valued at around $1.8 billion in paperwork used for securing loans, yet listed at only about $27 million in tax-related documents. That difference stands out sharply, enough to halt proceedings, raise alarms among judges, financial institutions, and government officials. For a long time, Mar-a-Lago served as far more than a private residence or upscale club. It functioned as a central hub, a source of steady revenue, and the main anchor for Donald Trump's activities after leaving office. Former presidents often step back from the spotlight after an election ends, yet control over their personal holdings rarely vanishes so abruptly. A recent judicial directive changed that reality, sealing off sections, restricting entry, redirecting financial oversight, and shifting decision-making power away from the owner. An unexpected element emerged once the initial reactions faded. Warren Buffett, the renowned investor known for measured words and avoiding controversy, offered a direct observation. His comment carried weight across financial circles in New York and political centers in the capital. When someone of his stature highlights a concern, it moves beyond partisan debate. It becomes a cautionary note about stability and credibility. Stick with this explanation because these developments carry broad implications. If this account caught your attention, leave a single word in the comments about your view of what follows: decline, recovery, or turmoil. Every response gets reviewed here. Creating clear, well-researched breakdowns like this takes real commitment. If you find value in that approach, consider subscribing. It's a simple step that supports ongoing coverage. For more in-depth looks at unfolding events, give this video a like and remain here. To most individuals, a residence offers rest and privacy. In Donald Trump's case, Mar-a-Lago represented acceleration of influence. Rather than withdrawing after his time in office concluded, he channeled authority through its grounds and facilities. Key discussions with elected officials, major contributors, and media figures took place there. Visitors arrived regularly, lawmakers seeking alignment, donors offering support, stories being framed. The estate evolved into the de facto base for his ongoing public role, where gaining entry signaled importance and denial carried consequences. Relinquishing oversight of such a place goes beyond mere symbolism. It inflicts real operational harm. The legal risk stemmed from how the property blended purposes seamlessly. It combined living quarters, commercial operations, and political gathering spot in one location. That fusion provided significant advantage. Events could double as fundraising occasions, strategy sessions occurred discreetly, and income arrived simultaneously. Legal teams contend this arrangement permitted shielding of activities behind an appearance of elegance, positioning Mar-a-Lago as the foundation of broader efforts. When judicial authority intervenes to limit use of that space, the impact extends past canceled gatherings. It undermines command structure. Fines or public statements pale compared to this. The loss involves more than bricks and land. It removes the setting where commitments were secured, messages reinforced, and authority projected as enduring. Deprived of unrestricted operation at Mar-a-Lago, the capacity to draw focus, enforce discipline among supporters, and maintain an image of strength diminishes noticeably. Large structures rarely collapse instantly. They weaken when their pivotal point disappears. Mar-a-Lago held precisely that position. Before continuing, share one word in the comments that captures Mar-a-Lago's function in this context: stronghold, platform, or advantage. Your perspective matters here. Effort goes into presenting these matters plainly. If that resonates, subscribe. It's one action that contributes meaningfully. If the insight proved useful, like the video and keep watching as layers continue to emerge. One detail frequently overlooked amid the attention is that much of Trump's reported fortune remains tied up rather than readily available. It exists in real estate, courses, licensing arrangements, and holdings burdened by obligations. Within that structure, Mar-a-Lago stood out as especially critical. Unlike several other holdings, it produced consistent, practical funds via memberships, hosted functions, and premium privileges. That reliable income supported defense costs in various matters, political activities, and routine requirements. Remove it, and the equation shifts uncomfortably. Liquidity sustains operations during challenges. Paper wealth means little without accessible resources. Stability falters. Those pursuing the case recognize this dynamic, explaining why focusing here proves strategic. By constraining normal functions, arranging gatherings, receiving payments, capitalizing on reputation, they limit not merely a site, but the financial lifeline. Ongoing obligations persist: legal representation, personnel, movement, protection. Yet a primary source feeding those now falls under external supervision. This quietly escalates pressure. Reduced resources force narrower decisions, sales of holdings, revised agreements, wavering confidence among associates, and an aura of vulnerability replacing certainty. Mar-a-Lago's revenue loss attaches a concrete cost to persistence. Public defiance may continue, but privately, each constrained amount counts heavily. This concerns endurance at elevated levels, not comfort. Records indicate that mounting financial strain erodes advantage swiftly, even for prominent figures. Consider this. If steady funds equal influence, what occurs when that stream ends? Share your view below. We review them carefully. Dedication shapes these examinations to remain straightforward and accurate. Subscribe if it helps. Your support sustains progress. If this clarified the stakes, like and continue with us. The implications deepen further. The matter turns plainly serious at this point. The discrepancy identified went beyond minor discrepancies or interpretive differences. Evidence showed valuations so divergent that immediate concerns arose. The estate carried extraordinarily high figures when loans required justification, then appeared far more restrained when tax responsibilities came due. This pattern, according to those familiar with such matters, moves into deliberate inaccuracy, the sort courts address firmly because it erodes confidence across financial dealings. The clarity proves damaging. Ordinary observers immediately see the issue. No advanced knowledge needed. If an individual presents one figure to secure favorable borrowing, then a fraction of it to minimize liabilities, that pattern registers as improper on both ends. Judges, juries, and citizens connect directly. No elaborate explanations required. The figures speak plainly. Defenses often lean on nuance, agreements, or details, but such extremes remove protective layers, making purpose appear evident and explanation strained. Acceptance of this approach affects more than one location. It invites scrutiny of related valuations, borrowings, and transactions throughout holdings. One instance becomes a starting thread. Pulling it risks exposing wider inconsistencies. Comment below. What difference would signal crossing into unacceptable territory for you? 1 million, 100 million, or any separation whatsoever. We value your input. Work goes into clear explanations. Subscribe if worthwhile. One click matters. If this framed things better, like the video, and remain engaged, the consequences grow. This marks a fundamental shift. Appointing an external overseer signals more than caution. It assumes direct management. Operational choices, entry permissions, scheduled activities, resource allocation, usage limits no longer rest solely with the prior authority. Such steps occur infrequently, reserved for situations where standard control appears unreliable. In straightforward language, the system declares current stewardship unsuitable. This alters perception rapidly. The established persona centers on unchallenged authority, the individual directing every element. External oversight reverses that story. Personnel report elsewhere, approvals become necessary, certain functions face denial. Symbolic value diminishes without open command. Beyond procedure, it delivers a deeper impact. Authority of this nature relies on projecting complete dominance. When that cracks, questions arise among those aligned. A key overlooked aspect. Supervision generates records, actions, expenditures, directions, all documented, examined, available for review. Oversight surface, repetitions become evident. Oversight addresses current matters while illuminating history. For those investigating, this provides valuable material. For the subject, it opens exposure. A once private domain now offers transparency. Control of access transforms a shield into a source of information. If placed in that position, would loss of authority sting more than financial hit? Comment control or cash? We're interested. Serious work ensures balanced, clear presentation. Subscribe to continue. One-click supports. If this viewpoint added depth, like and stay for more. Here the focus widens. Actions against one prominent holding rarely stand alone. They suggest broader connections. Establishing irregularity in a notable case eases application to similar patterns elsewhere. Reasoning follows logically. If effective once, repetition seems probable. Inquiries expand through demonstrated habits, not guesswork. Danger lies in uniformity. Operations followed consistent approaches: lenders, methods, documentation. Demonstrated extremes in one instance invite argument that practices extended portfolio-wide: courses, structures, agreements. Everything enters potential review, even untouched elements, because the approach now stands revealed. Experts describe this as a benchmark case: prominent, recorded, resonant, perfect for setting standards. Standards set weaken positions across the board. Claims of uniqueness falter against repeated logic. Isolated issues rarely remain so, they propagate. The true hazard involves full examination, transaction by transaction, period by period, leaving few untouched areas. Where might attention turn next if one element unravels more? Share your prediction below. Time and care produce understandable accounts. Subscribe. Your action aids continuation. If this revealed wider scope, like and follow along. Relationships once provided protection. Major institutions extended discretion while repayments flowed and benefits accrued. Inquiries stayed secondary. That buffer holds only until exposure exceeds gain. Probes and demands force choices. Protect a connection or safeguard self-interest. Precedent favors self-protection. Institutions supply more than figures. They provide correspondence, evaluations, internal notes. Those reveal awareness. Claims of subjective judgment weaken if records show prior doubts yet approvals preceded. Cooperation hastens progress. Independent sources corroborate. Juries favor credibility over affiliations. Clarity increases. Inconsistencies emerge. Options narrow. This point often tips matters from possible to probable in such proceedings. For an operation rooted in borrowed confidence, losing institutional backing proves especially harmful. What enabled expansion now furnishes material for challenge. When does allegiance end? Amid political stakes or personal jeopardy? Offer your view below. Effort ensures transparent breakdowns. Subscribe. One click contributes significantly. If new angles emerged, like and continue. An unforeseen perspective arrived. Certain critiques fade as routine. This differed. A reserved, respected figure entered the discussion. Attention follows not from alignment, but from reliability. A credible business voice raising questions about practices signals concern to markets, lenders, executives. Once voiced, retraction proves difficult. Timing amplifies effect. Scrutiny arrives during exposure, not strength. Confidence proves essential in turbulence. When fundamentals face doubt from trusted sources, hesitation follows. Reluctance in commitments, stricter conditions, reevaluation. Perception shapes outcomes in commerce. Negative views accelerate. This reaches beyond legal documents. It challenges the foundation of a skilled negotiator, always ahead. Fracture there weakens supporting elements. Loyalty may endure politically. Markets demand trust. Trust, once doubted by infrequent speakers, rebuilds slowly. This served as notice. Assumptions of soundness warrant caution. Such signals alter conduct swiftly. Whose view truly influences markets? Elected figures or financial participants? Comment your position. Dedication delivers clear content. Subscribe to sustain it. One click helps. If unexpected, like and stay. Core identity rests on refusal to yield, admit error, or retreat. That stance mobilizes gatherings, resources, and steadfast backing. Legal contexts operate differently. Cooperation, adjustments, proof gain traction, boldness risks escalation. This mismatch creates difficulty. Public resistance rallies support yet heightens exposure. Discrete resolutions safeguard holdings yet undermine perceived strength. Each choice extracts cost. Leaders blending appearance with tactic eventually confront limits. The challenge extends beyond opponents to boundaries of a constructed image unsuited for prolonged examination. Reality prevails over presentation eventually. If forced to select, prioritize image or holdings, comment brand or survival, real commitment produces honest examinations. Subscribe. One click enables more. If rethinking occurred, like and remain. Movements require resources beyond enthusiasm, financing for events, representation, outreach, logistics, presence. Wealthy contributors sustain that flow. Uncertainty prompts rapid adjustment. Risk overtakes allegiance, prompting withdrawal. Shifts begin subtly. Reduced amounts, hesitant pledges, unresponsive contacts, no announcements needed. High-level retreats signal others. Reluctance spreads quicker than commitment. Strength appears solid until funding pauses, then fractures appear. Beyond direct support, contributors offer networks, standing connections. Withdrawal brings isolation. Influence projects certainty, too substantial to falter. Fading silent backing erodes that. Power depends on visible enthusiasm and consistent quiet support. Loss of the latter hinders rebuilding. In public affairs, which weighs heavier, vocal crowds or discrete resources? Share below. Effort maintains clear, truthful coverage. Subscribe. Your support continues it. If perspective shifted, like and stay. This draws threads together. Beyond one individual, one estate, or specific allegations, a larger issue surfaces. Whether law applies uniformly, regardless of position. Democracy depends on equal application. No exemptions for former leaders, wealth, or prominence. When sustained financial irregularities face genuine response, the framework undergoes test. If resolution proceeds deliberately and openly, it affirms no immunity through status. If interference, postponement, or sway prevents outcome, implications extend widely, suggesting rules bend for sufficient influence or volume. Financial matters prove accessible. Most recognize advantage through misrepresentation of resources. Disagreement on other topics exists, but monetary deception registers broadly. Unequal handling erodes faith in institutions. Eroded faith weakens foundations swiftly. Precedent forms here. Thorough handling reinforces accountability. Avoidance signals optionality for the advantaged. Weight comes from potential long-term definition of justice. This concerns existence of consequences in a rule-based order, not retribution or alignment. Final question. Will accountability prevail this time, or does position prevail once more? Offer your genuine view below. Care shapes thoughtful presentations. Subscribe. One click sustains work. If this contributed, like and continue. Events like these influence what follows. This is Jeff Desk. Stay awake, America. We'll see you in the next one.